It's quite a tricky question, but I think it's one of those questions that we first put it out on LinkedIn, and we put it on the working from home session on Fridays. We've got lots of people sticking their thoughts into chat. The idea is that we collate some of the different things that people have suggested as answers, and then together post them all in one piece in the library. So if anybody, can basically crowdsourcing different answers or different solutions to a problem. So this one, I'm going to put Matt on the spot here. Say, how do you manage a mixed portfolio of traditional linear waterfall projects and agile iterative projects, or reduction lines, where you want to be able to assess the business cases to maximize ROI, return on investment? How does the PMO assess blend? So Matt, you've been working in different organizations recently. Have they got a mixed portfolio, or what? What's your insight?
Well, like you said, like we were talking about earlier, I mean, if you take the latest State of Agile report, where they were asked what sort of organizations they were, only 8% of the responding organizations said that they were solely agile organizations. And of that, and then equally, only 3% said that they were solely waterfall organizations. So that leads me to kind of, with my rubbish mental arithmetic, I think it's so 89% essentially fall into this. They do a bit of both. So in terms of, I think what you need to do is essentially you need to agree what are your key kind of ROI measures. Is ROI purely, because I think this is a challenge. You can still do ROI, of course you can. But I think the challenge of a lot of where you sell Agile is more on value than necessarily ROI. So essentially you need to agree a single set of KPIs that they need to work on, because you can, I mean, obviously certain agile projects, portfolio management should be agnostic of how you deliver it, is what is fundamentally. Portfolio management, you don't do waterfall. Essentially it's investment. Portfolio management is basically prioritization and investment management. So how you actually choose to deliver that shouldn't really kind of affect that most. An agile always has a lean business case. So essentially you just make sure that lean business case includes the or aligns to the ROI metrics that you want, whether that be FTE savings, whether that be increased kind of revenue, whether that be, because we're always delivering something for we're not doing this for the kind of just for the hell of it, are we? We're doing it for a reason. We're either gonna save money, or we're gonna make money. Or we're gonna make more money. That's fundamentally the reason why we make changes. Yes, you might talk efficiencies, you might talk about stuff, but the end result always comes down to the checkbook. So you increase efficiencies because essentially it will reduce your costs. So you make sure that you're agile. You still have your true agile business cases that is that align to those ROI measures that you're wanting, and then obviously you can then do an apples with apples comparison in that sense. So as I say, the main thing is not to get, to me, don't get hung up on kind of how you deliver the portfolio. Essentially, as part of portfolio management is my big one. Yeah. As I say, there's lots of conversations at the moment that tends to be very kind of very X or Y. You're either agile or you're traditional, and that's not the case. The only thing that is X or Y is the delivery. All the rest of it, whether you're talking risk management, whether you're talking at the end of the day, you're still going to, coming back to what we've talked about today, you still got to plan something. Whether you do it an agile way or a thing, you still fundamentally come out with a roadmap with a set of milestones that you will use to kind of talk to the executive with, the same way with a Microsoft project plan, you'll have a timeline on that project plan that with your key milestones that you will talk to your executive with. They kind of come to the same thing. So the main thing I think is make sure that Agile isn't seen as a reason not to do a business case. So that will be my one thing, and agree on what your key ROI impacts are.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just before we finish off, then, Eileen, have you what do you reckon to this? I know I'm totally putting you on the spot, but you know, when you look at this, I mean, we've obviously got Matt that's going to look from an Agile point of view, but what do you think about it? You're on mute, so if you wouldn't mind coming off mute.
Sorry, I always forget that. So I think when we're working at kind of portfolio level, I think we have to remember that we should be speaking in the business language and not in project and program management language. So very much with Matthew in terms of we should be understanding what can be delivered in terms of supporting the business achieve their strategy and goals, and being able to provide some rationale, some discussion document where they can make a decision in terms of how and when that kind of comes in and what they can support. So I think to me, it's, you know, kind of we talk about business cases, and I still sometimes think we use business cases too much, even at an executive level. It's about providing that rolled up picture in terms of how the portfolio will deliver and to strategy. I think one of the skills, and it's interesting, there's some more work about which I just want to hunt out about how we can continue to support the executive in doing a top-down planning rather than a bottom-up. I still think, you know, when we start talking about business cases, we're still mentally in a bottom-up planning approach where the business is asking for this particular project, this particular change, support for this product, rather than the top-down, which is where the executives are. Where do we want the organization to be? What have we got to deliver? Well, what does that look like then in terms of individual kind of projects, you know, kind of development of products? So to me, there's a mindset change required, not just a case of thinking about, you know, individual business cases.
Yeah,
I think just to add to that, Eileen, as well, I totally agree with you. But we also need to, and I'm not kind of fighting anybody's corner here, because I kind of, but I also think at the moment, whenever we have these conversations, it's always about how do we get Agile to fit into Waterfall, and I think it's how do we do both? How do both come together? Yeah. I think there's a change in mindset on both sides to meet in the middle somewhere. Whereas at the moment, I think a lot of the conversation is how kind of Agile goes all the way over to kind of fit into
and I think, you know, if you look at the theory like better business cases says you start off with kind of an overall aim, what you want to do, and then work out how best to deliver it. So nobody cares. You know, I'm sure the executive don't give two sticks on how we actually deliver what needs to be delivered by the organization. And part of the expertise and part of the kind of the governance bit that we can bring from a PMO perspective is to provide that advice and guidance and say, you know, these are the various ways that we can deliver. You know, actually this should be a program rather than a project. Actually, these are just small independent projects. Actually, these are, you know, we should be going for a product roadmap and iterative development. That's part and parcel of what we contribute to get their strategy into doable pieces of work that the delivery teams can deliver.
Okay, thank you both. We're